Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Insight Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Altaher, the Advanced Digital Marketing Strategist here at Sentinel Technologies. Today, we are going to be covering the all-new Webex Contact Center. Webex Contact Center is Cisco's contact center as a service platform that provides not only traditional channels, such as voice, chat, and email, but also a suite of digital channels that allows your customers to connect with your organization using their preferred communication method. The Contact Center, or more aptly named, the Customer Experience Center, has evolved into one of the most important interaction points an organization has with its customers, members, and so forth. With this responsibility comes new opportunities for organizations to improve customer satisfaction by leveraging technologies that Webex Contact Center could bring to the table, such as machine learning and AI, self-service bots and integrations, and contextual interaction history. That said, there are many organizations out there that are still utilizing premise-based contact center solutions who may be looking at a cloud contact center as a way to modernize their customers' experiences. Today, we'll touch on the benefits of what a cloud contact center like Webex Contact Center can bring to your organization and what to consider when making the transition. This episode is sponsored by Cisco, the bridge to possible. So let's dive right in and introduce my guest for today. Please welcome back to the show, Mr. Adam Bertram, the National Director of Enterprise Architecture and Innovation here at Sentinel Technologies. Thank you for joining, Adam. And for the folks that have missed the previous episodes that you were on, please provide us with a bit of background.
Sure. Well, been here for 13 years at Sentinel. I'll be 14 years in June. Been in a lot of different roles here. So started out more in the delivery and engineering side of things, moved into the pre-sales role, and then helped found our advisory services group, which is our consulting arm, about 6 years ago or so. And then over the last couple of years, I've been in our enterprise architecture and innovation group, reporting to our CTO, Bob Kablusik, who you've had on this quite a few times as well too. So, and really what I do in my role, I'm responsible for the collaboration disciplines. So that means everything from voice, video, messaging, contact center, and work on how does Sentinel differentiate itself in the marketplace, whether that be new service offerings, new products that we add to our portfolio, and build that go-to-market strategy. So that's what I do when I'm not doing podcasts.
The format of today's show is going to vary a bit from our traditional format. Adam, please take the floor and talk to us all about Webex Contact Center.
Yeah, so when we talk about cloud contact center, I mean it's I'd like to start out with kind of some of the drivers that we see in that space. So I'm going to touch on probably the top 2 or 3 drivers that I see with organizations looking to maybe take advantage of a cloud contact center. So first and foremost, one thing that comes up top of mind with a lot of customers and what drives this conversation is end of life, end of support dates that might be looming for their premises-based solution. That could be also driven by maintenance renewals for those legacy versions, and then ultimately upgrades. Some customers may have let their premises contact center fall behind. Maybe it's a couple versions behind, and the further behind you go, oftentimes the upgrade process can be more and more painful. So we have conversations with customers around, do you want to put that capital expenditure into professional services to bring that system up to date, maintenance renewals on a premises-based system, or do you want to look at taking advantage of a new platform where you really can get out of that operational upgrades model, that waterfall type approach where you're having to constantly maintain a system? And maintenance can obviously mean a lot of different things. Even in the non-contact center world, I have customers that run into pretty heavy carrying costs month to month with maybe third-party providers to provide support and maintenance on a platform that the manufacturer may no longer support. So that's probably a big driver that we see for customers considering cloud contact center like Webex Contact Center. The next one I would say is a shift in operational focus. So, wanting to get out of the business of running the phone system and running the contact center system and focus more on improving that customer experience. You mentioned in the intro about it being more than just a contact center, it's a customer experience center. And that's very true, especially as we kind of drift out of this kind of post-COVID, hybrid work type scenario. Contact centers are often the lifeline of organizations. So, customers want to get out of the keeping maintenance on physical servers and virtual machines and voice gateways and PSTN circuits and third-party applications and wallboard apps and all that, and get more into an operational consume it as a service type model for the contact center so that they can focus on the things that mean the most to their business rather than keeping the lights on. So, and ultimately comes with that, the ability to shift that cost model as well. Instead of a capital expenditure on an annual basis, they can adopt an operational or an OpEx cost model. Now, I'll say with that one, that varies by industry. Some industries which get funding maybe on an annual basis or something like that may not be able to operate on that OpEx model. So I'll say that one is kind of 50-50 with a lot of the customers that I talk to. But a driver with that can be the flexibility to be able to expand and burst and grow without needing to worry about those other components that I rambled off there as far as capacity. There's nothing worse than needing to account for, say, 20%, 30%, 40% growth on a premises-based system, and then having this trickle-down effect through, well, is the voice gateway size big enough? Is the platform itself, the server size big enough? What about these third-party apps? Am I ready to handle that? So yeah, that shift in operational model is a big driver that we see as well too. And then the last one I'll kind of touch on is a finite feature set. So I hear this a lot. Premises-based systems, by and large, for contact center, have been really focused around that voice channel. A lot of the feature set and the feature capabilities are built around, that voice interaction, and not so much around some of those what we'll call the digital interactions that you mentioned in the intro as well. So, that voice-centric approach. We were able, and I'll use Contact Center Express, which is where a lot of our customers in the Cisco world have when they have a premises system. That system does have the ability to add chat and email inside of kind of the foundational product. But if I want to go outside of that, I'm often having to look at third-party bolt-ons, which then kind of go back to that operational model challenge that I get into as well too. So, and it goes without saying that Cisco and others that have a cloud contact center platform are kind of limiting their investment in those premises-based products. A lot of them are still maintaining them. That list gets shorter and shorter every year, but where new features and capabilities are going to be rolled out in the cloud contact center platform and not so much in the premises. The premises is really in a kind of a steady state maintenance, keep it going type mode, as opposed to new innovations that are going to hit the platform. And the last point I'll make on the finite feature set is, customers, members, patients, whatever that contact is to your organization, they're demanding a better experience. They want you to engage with them using the channels that they want to use, not necessarily the one that you offer, right? And going back to that voice-centric mindset, oftentimes it's not voice. I don't know about you, but I don't really enjoy engaging or waiting on a phone to talk to somebody unless I absolutely have to. I look for chat on just about any engagement, and I've used SMS even for a lot of the engagement that I've had as well too. So I would say, that customer experience, they're trying to demand a better experience. And then on the flip side of that, that's more the externally facing side. I'll say that finite feature set translates into internally as well in providing a better agent and supervisor experience. It goes without saying, if you have agents that are able to be productive and they have a ease of use factor into the platforms that they're using, that translates into how they interact with a customer or a patient or a member, and that really translates to that overall satisfaction. So it's kind of twofold. It's looking at the experience that you're providing both externally, but also what's the experience that you're providing internally. And really what this translates to is contact center customers that are looking to modernize how they treat the customer experience as well as the agent experience. So those are kind of the drivers that I want to just get out there as kind of a foundational topic for us in that. And now what I'll do is I'll kind of, I've talked about the drivers a bit. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits that a cloud contact center platform like Webex Contact Center can bring to the table. And because I know a decent amount of this audience will potentially have Cisco Contact Center Express, I chose kind of these features not to be as a sales pitch, but more more so coming from the mindset of somebody that has a premises-based platform like Contact Center Express, or maybe even Contact Center Enterprise, or even non-contact center, but just taking kind of what's most important, what are the challenges I've maybe fought with my premises platform over the years, right? So first one is flexibility. Goes without saying, Cloud Contact Center, something that was born native in the cloud. I can easily support agents and supervisors anywhere that they have an internet connection or a decent internet connection and a web browser. So you can't get much simpler than that. Even technically, I could support them on something like this mobile device, right? If I needed to in a pinch. So that flexibility just hasn't been there for premises-based solutions. I remember having a lot of frantic kind of emergency conversations in the March through June timeframe of 2020 when everybody was sent home, and those organizations that already had a work-from-home model fared pretty well, but those that didn't were really struggling because a lot of their premises-based solutions required, sometimes complex VPN setups for those agents to be able to work from home. So, flexibility in a cloud contact center like Webex Contact Center certainly makes things very compelling. I can support that remote and hybrid work out of the box. I can do it securely, and I don't have to mess with a lot of sometimes cumbersome technologies like VPN that not only add cost but also add complexity to the end agent's stations. So, and we touched on this as far as the drivers is concerned too. I can grow and expand the Cloud Contact Center and the Webex Contact Center platform without any concerns about the platform itself. It's built to be evergreen, it's built to be elastic, and from that standpoint, I don't have to worry about those other infrastructure components that may, prevent me from doing that today. So that's probably one key piece I like to touch on. The next item I'll say is, it gets a little bit cliche when you're talking contact center, but the digital first approach, right? We talked about some of those digital channels. It's a little bit of a buzzword, but I'll decompose that a little bit on kind of what I mean by that. But Cisco's been investing heavily in going beyond the standard voice, chat, email channels and adding in things like virtual agents and self-service interactions, whether that be self-service via voice in an IVR or chat or otherwise, via a bot or SMS. And these technologies are getting, fairly sophisticated in which your initial interactions, it's hard sometimes to tell whether or not you're interfacing with a real human agent or if it actually is machine learning or AI driven. And the more those get tuned into your organization and the questions your organization or your customers are asking the organization, the better that experience can be. And that translates to, offloading a lot of that burden from your expensive agents in live interaction, because it goes without saying, it's very difficult for an agent to be a true omni-channel agent, meaning that if they're on a voice call, can they effectively process that voice call and be chatting and responding to emails and social? And that's next to impossible in most cases. So that self-service aspect is huge for being able to provide better operational efficiencies. And going beyond that, with what I was saying about Cisco, I go beyond just the bots and being able to add SMS as a channel, which is a common one today that I think a lot of organizations are maybe ignoring. They've done maybe a little bit of web chat, but SMS is kind of that next generation channel that I think a lot of customers are demanding. And then beyond that, social media, being able to capture your social footprint. You're very in tune with Sentinel's social media presence out there and the number of ways that we can get engagement, right? So what if I'm able to track those negative sentiments if they happen to appear and bring those into the contact center so they can be nipped in the bud and responded to in a timely fashion, right? So that's huge when you think about digital. It's not so much, hey, I want to add every channel under the sun. It's what is my overall interaction footprint for customers to engage with me, and do I have a way to address some of these other ancillary channels that maybe go beyond just voice and that being my interaction? Because you can miss a lot of that and it can affect you. As well as anybody in social media, right? All it takes is, one kind of rant or tweet or something to get some traction, and it can go, viral, right? So being able to have the company officially respond to that and then engage separate off of maybe that social media channel and more in a customer-centric space is huge. So digital channels are definitely a key aspect. Next item I have, this one for anybody that's managed Contact Center Express or any even non-Cisco, is when it comes to editing and improving flows, moves, adds, changes to my flows. A lot of times those are scripts, and a lot of times those are using thick proprietary editors that are very much tuned to an engineer to make those moves, adds, and changes. So one thing Cisco has spent a lot of time developing with Webex Contact Center is the visual flow designer, and it's very much a drag and drop, meant to be a low code, no code type interface so that I can lower the barrier for customers to be able to make their own changes. And that's really a goal, is to try and make that interface intuitive, make it somewhat easy and less intimidating to a non-technical business user, maybe a supervisor that needs to make some minor moves, adds, and changes. Now, I'm not going to say it's the, if you have complex flows and a lot of things going on, that you're going to have your contact center manager go in there and make changes. But for regular changes, maybe tweaking a threshold, tweaking some variables or something like that, that alter the way calls are routed, I can get that non-technical person into that interface and not have to shackle them to needing, a technical resource to make those moves, adds, and changes. So that visual flow designer is definitely a key thing that I noticed when, we started rolling out Webex Contact Center to customers. The next one we'll touch on, reporting. Goes without saying, you can't have a contact center platform without talking about reporting. It's top of mind for everybody. I would say probably the key takeaway with Webex Contact Center is they have a new and revamped reporting and analytics engine, and the keyword being analytics there. A lot of legacy premises-based solutions are honed in on the reporting of metrics. What's my service level? What's my abandoned calls? What's my, how many calls are in queue? What's my talk time and my ready time? Those sorts of things. And those are somewhat static metrics, can be very one-dimensional. So by adding analytics into things, being able to take, cross-analyze customer interactions, all those ways they're interacting with your contact center, and compare that to agent activity, you can start to kind of measure that against some different business metrics. And that's kind of a little bit of a jargony term there. But what I mean by that is being able to actually provide some analysis on your static reporting and tie that to things that are more meaningful to the business to make decisions. That's really what we want to get to, is what's actionable here. I can look at these metrics and say, yeah, I'm meeting my SLA or I'm not, but what does that tell me? What do I need to do if I'm not? Or maybe if I'm giving better insight as to where I'm failing and breaking down that SLA into certain components or areas where an agent's maybe struggling, then I can really tactically focus in on improving that one particular interaction. Or maybe it's something with chat where the bot is, giving a wrong result or something that's causing frustration and then causing escalation to an agent. Well, maybe I just need to tune the knowledge base or tune the responses that the bot's giving. So, those are definitely things where I need actionable insight. So Cisco's definitely, with their analyzer tool, has stepped up that game there. And I'll say for our UCCX folks, our Contact Center Express folks coming on, they've also included UCCX Reports in Analyzer to help aid in the transition from reporting the way you used to report to understanding the terminology and some newer metrics that are available in Webex Contact Center. So they haven't lost sight of the fact that, hey, I've got a lot of customers that are maybe transitioning from Contact Center Express. I'm going to include some of those canned reports here as you start to learn how Analyzer and some of the new reports, new terminology play into Webex Contact Center. So that's a key thing. That I see is nice that they did that, because otherwise it's a bit of a gap to bridge. The next item I'll talk about here is experience management. So for those that have followed Cisco over the last year or two, they made an acquisition of CloudCherry, which was known in the industry as being an analytics company. They had surveying capabilities in the platform tied to like Net Promoter Score, CSAT, being able to measure different areas of the contact center and be able to provide that journey insight and and they do a lot of cool things with analysis. So really what it is it comes down to, with most organizations, I see being able to measure customer experience being a blind spot, especially in premises-based solutions. If they're not already using a third party to snap into that, we often, going back to those metrics that I talked about, we how do we measure that or tie that to customer experience? What's their satisfaction level? Do I have a way of doing that? So Webex Experience Management, as Cloud Cherry is now known inside of the Webex portfolio, it provides the ability to start measuring and analyzing the customer journey through various surveying options. And we can standardize to different metrics in the industry like Net Promoter Score, which I know you're familiar with, certainly, and provide data that, again, is contextual and provide something that's actionable. And that's really what the goal of the experience management portfolio, and being able to provide that journey information all the way down to the agent desktop, so that when I interact with a contact center, I can see that you, Daniel, interfaced with us via chat and maybe sent us an email, and you've had these 5 voice conversations. And then because I've surveyed you when it was relevant, meaning as close to the interaction as possible, I now have some net promoter data and some satisfaction data and sentiment data that I can pass down to the agent, which may change their behavior and how they talk to you. If you've had a very unpleasant experience, I may talk to you a little bit different. I may offer you a promotion, offer you a discount, offer you, something else, right? So again, we don't factor in often how much that can affect the overall agent experience and how they interact with that caller that's talking to them. So again, that's experience management. And then the last item I'll mention is integrations. So Webex Contact Center was born in the cloud. It's very much a modernized web-based framework that the platform is built upon. So it goes without saying that there is a fair amount of integration capability with the platform. Cisco uses the connectors model for integrating with popular line of business applications like Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, ServiceNow, which we use internally at Sentinel. And then they also have custom connector options. So any line of business application today, whether it be a Salesforce or maybe it's an electronic medical record system that you're using if you're in the healthcare space, most of them provide a REST-based API, and APIs are kind of the buzzword of probably the last several years, but it's a way for us to interface with these systems using a standard-based technology. So through custom connectors within Webex Contact Center, we can interface with just about any platform. So it allows us as a partner with Sentinel to be able to provide that service expertise to be able to help customers interface Webex Contact Center with potential other line of business applications that don't have an out-of-the-box connector already built. So certainly a powerful platform. So that's kind of the main talking points. We could go on and on. Webex Contact Center offers a lot of different things, and there's a lot of new things coming out, especially with the recent acquisition of IMI Mobile. There's a whole plethora of things that were added into the portfolio there. But that was really just to give a glimpse of kind of the main talking points I think are relevant to those that might have a premises-based system. Yeah, exactly. And with that, I have a few asks. Probably is just for those that are interested in transitioning. So first ask I'd have is, if you're looking to modernize your contact center for both customers or the agent supervisor experience, Sentinel does have a no-cost cloud collaboration modernization workshop. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we basically hone in on several contact center topics and areas where there are opportunities for change or improvements to the experience. It's really focused around the experience that you want to deliver to your customers, patients, members, and so on. And then after the workshop, we provide a deliverable with key next step recommendations to start that transition. So that's probably my first ask, is if you're thinking about making a change, reach out to us. We'll see if the modernization workshop makes sense, and it's a good use of time. We've had good feedback on those that have went through it. And then the last ask goes without saying, our theme for today was Webex Contact Center. So the second ask would be, if you're interested in learning more about Webex Contact Center or some of the topics that I touched on, intrigue you, based on what we've discussed, feel free to reach out to your Sentinel representative. Happy to have that conversation further, maybe kind of peel back the onion on maybe what you're thinking about, where you want your pain points are, and where you might look to transform things. So those are my two plugs for kind of takeaways for anybody that's listening or watching. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, folks, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. As always, I am your host, Daniel Altaher, and we'll see you next time on the Insight Podcast.